proceedings, and so they did it across the street. So that courtroom sat there empty, never used, I'll bet you. And I'll bet you the same kind of stuff is going on around here. I'll bet you could find courtrooms that you could use. Anyways, you gotta administrate them. Robin has some very interesting procedures that you could use to administrate them, and I think that you ought to pick his brains on that stuff. Grand juries bring an indictment based on majority vote. The grand jury indictment is saying that there is probable cause. That's all it's saying. The judge can say there's probable cause too. A grand jury indictment proceeds to a common law jury for trial. When I was living in Uxbridge, Ontario, I was telling you about that. There's no judge in a common law courtroom. The common law jury calls the witnesses, questions the witnesses, determines the law and the facts of the matter, and even pronounce sentence. A decision from a common law jury, remember, it's the people, it's us. We can do anything we want.
It's actually the constituency.
Well, I think that's constituency. It sounds that actually sounds corporate.
Well, yeah, I know.
Anyways, a decision of a common law jury is not subject to appeal. The fact that you can make an appeal in the de facto courts is proof that they're de facto. The decisions of a common law jury must be unanimous. A common law jury consists of 12 jurists. You know what a judge is called? You know what the judge is called? In these de facto courts? They're called jurists. Just think about that.
Chief jurist.
What happened is originally all juries were common law juries, right? And what happened is that a lot of times there were people on the juries that didn't understand certain points of law. So they would invite someone who had been on a lot of common law juries, they invited them in to advise them on different points of law. That's all, that became the judge. And gradually what happened is, then they got these corporations, right? So then they had to have a prosecuting attorney and a defending attorney, and meanwhile the jury's getting pushed back, and the judge and the attorneys are taking over the courtroom. That's what happened. That's why even today, that judge is called a jurist. Many times, I already said that. Common law convictions in Texas were sent to Standard & Poor's. The convicted municipal corporation brought an action in their corporate commercial courts to overturn the conviction. The corporate commercial court refused, saying that they would lose their bond too. So what happened is that there was a criminal conviction of a municipal corporation, a city, Texas, and they sent it to Standard & Poor's. They couldn't get financing for anything. So you can hurt them. You can hurt them in ways that you can't imagine. I mean, that's what they live for, right? It's money.
Does everybody here know what Standard & Poor's is?
Yep. Yeah. It's credit rating.
Standard & Poor's is a credit rating
Corporation.
agency in New York City. You can send it to Standard & Poor's or Dun & Bradstreet. I'd send it to them all. And watch their credit dry up. They won't be able to get financing for anything. And all of a sudden, things will change. You can affect change without even hanging any of them. Now, technically, common law offenses are very severe. And so technically, you know, some of them should be hanged. You know, whether you want to go to that extreme or not, you know. But even just the fact that there's a conviction, you send it to, because their insurance companies know what that's all about, and they have lawyers, and they don't want nothing to do with it. Yes.
Is that like a SAC tracer, Standard & Poor's?
Huh?
SAC tracer, like a Security Exchange Commission tracer?
SEC tracer. You're talking about commercial liens now.
Right.
Standard & Poor's is a corporate bond rating agency.
That's all they are. Yeah.
Oh.
Just like you have a credit rating agency like TransUnion for your person.
Dun & Bradstreet.
I already talked about Robin Boulanger. In order to get a grand jury and a common law jury, you need a common law judiciary. You need to hold an election among the people and elect a chief judge of the county. But what I would do is I would notice the prosecutors. I'd start sending them registered letters out and telling them, look, this is what we're going to do. And watch them start to, like, well, They probably won't do anything. What?
Why wouldn't you do it to the Minister of Justice, never mind the peons?
Well, you could do that. But I do it to the, because the prosecutors are gonna be the ones that are gonna think about attacking you. You see what I'm saying? And so you head them off the pass. I mean, there's a thing called estoppel by acquiescence, okay? If you send them a registered letter and you tell them that you're gonna convene your own common law jury and start bringing indictments against criminals in the government for perjury of oath, etc., and they don't do anything, then they're stopped from doing anything. See what I'm saying? That's estoppel.
Absolutely.
If they don't complain about it somehow, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they have nothing to say about it. And once you understand the law, they have nothing to say about what we the people decide to do. And what they might try to do is trump up some charges in their de facto. You see what I'm saying? But if you notice them and notice the minister and you know, everybody and their brother, I don't think they'd dare. You know, and if they did, it'd get to the courts, and the courts would slap it down real quick. You know, but meanwhile, you'd probably have to spend a lot of money to defeat it. Yes.
Is there a common law court somewhere that you could take cases from Canada down to an estate somewhere, Montana or somewhere where you could get things heard?
Well, there's common law courts operating in states, but your common law court's your court. You see what I'm saying? I mean, they're kind of, I'll tell you what'll happen, is they'll basically ignore you, okay? Until they try and get credit or something like that. And it starts hurting them. And, but otherwise, they'll think it's a big joke, and they'll completely ignore you. I mean, that's what happened in Texas. The municipal corporation completely ignored their trial, didn't show up, you know, so they held the trial anyways, convicted them, and it's when they sent it to Standard & Poor's, and they lost their credit, that got their attention. But then again, they brought it into the corporate commercial courts, tried to get the conviction overturned, and the courts wouldn't do it. So the point is, if this is done properly, the courts will uphold it. So then you might want to elect some other officers of the county too. There is an Edmonton County, you just need to operate it. It's kind of nice that they're leaving it that way. The county's still here, they can't make it go away. And it's interesting because, you know, I see in Alberta, I see a lot of places where it'll have like County of Camrose, but I see also in Lacombe, I see Lacombe County, okay? Now, you gotta understand English. When it's proper English, the word Lacombe is the name, the county is the adjective, it's describing what the name is. You see what I'm saying? And so proper English, the adjective follows the proper name, right? But when they go County of Camrose, then it's backwards, it's not proper English. And that is a fiction. And so that's how you can tell City of Edmonton is a fiction, okay? Edmonton City, that's county, or that's common law, okay? I live in Edmonton City, I don't live in the City of Edmonton. See what I'm saying? And so you gotta understand what's common law and what's the matrix. You gotta start looking at things differently. Because there's a lot of stuff that's out there that's an illusion, and they get us on the words. Are you a resident or are you an inhabitant? I'm not a resident, I'm an inhabitant. I live on the land. You know, you see that stuff even in the Bible where they talk about that. The land of this and the land of that. See what I'm saying? This is as old as time itself.
Does England hold up any common law courts, or do they have any common law courts in England right now?
No idea. Probably not, as far as I know. There could be. But there's not too many common law courts even operating in states.
I'm talking to a fellow on Skype who's working on getting a grand jury together in the States right now.
Sure, no doubt.
Colin Derrick.
Well, there's that Tim Turner and his group. I mean, that was one of the things that they were trying to do, is form grand juries in every state, so they could basically set up de jure government. But I don't know how all that went.
I heard they successfully got all the states taken over now.
Yeah.
But
Well,
now
there's different stories. There's different stories about
The
that.
official story, basically, from what I heard, was the operation they were trying to undergo was to get the thing funded so they could continue on. And it was in trust, waiting to get funded, but they could not move forward because they were informed at the last minute that the 1789 Constitution was, yes, a de jure constitution, but was not for the people, it was for Rome. Because many of the states are still, actually, their constitution actually mandates a gold French flag with the eagle, which is the Vatican.
Yeah, the eagle is the Vatican.
So the problem was they couldn't go forward with that, they have to change it.
That's
And
interesting.
they
I
have to
wasn't
start
aware
with
of
the
that.
militias, and they want to get members of federal armed forces, National Guard, stuff like that, to come in and be the militias for the states. That's the way they're gonna go forward with it now.
Yeah, I'm not, I haven't been following it that much, so I have no idea. But the typical tactic of the enemy is to divide and conquer. And we need to overlook our differences and focus on the real goal, which is freedom for everybody. And I guess that's the end of that one. So we will start on the sovereignty one.
Yeah. Is it an eagle or is it a phoenix?
Thank you. Yes.
So this one's on sovereignty. Do you know who you are? What is a sovereign? Who is a sovereign? These are all things we're going to talk about. Where does sovereignty come from? Whoops.
Sorry.
Maybe I'll step over here. The rights and duties of sovereignty. How can you lose sovereignty? How do you regain it? Sovereignty is the right to rule. Sovereign can be a king or a queen, can be a group of people, can be a living soul. This is a U.S. court case. Sovereignty is the right to govern a nation. The nation or state sovereign is the person or persons in whom that resides. That's the way the courts look at it. For the very idea that one may be compelled to hold his life or the means of living or any material right essential to the enjoyment of life at the mere will of another seems to be intolerable in any free country where freedom prevails as the essence of slavery itself. And isn't that, think about it, I mean, isn't that what the IRS and the Revenue Canada thieves?
Yeah.
You know, that's essentially what's going on, isn't it?
Pay to stay.
In a monarchy, the king or the queen is sovereign. In British common law country, the sovereigns are the people. The words people of the United States and citizens are synonymous terms and mean the same thing. They both describe the political body who, according to our republican institutions, form the sovereignty and hold the power and conduct the government through their representatives. They are what we frequently call a sovereign people, and every citizen is one of those people and a constituent member of the sovereignty. Sovereign people, through their representatives, have created the court and the board and the municipal council and defined the rights and duties of each, and that's a Canadian court case.
Aren't people
Let me see
corporate
that.
fictions?
Huh?
Aren't people corporate fictions?
Persons.
Not people,
Persons are.
persons. Persons are.
Hold on. Okay.
Reference Casa Loma, Toronto. We the people are kings and queens. The people are sovereign and not bound by general words and statutes restrictive of prerogative right, title, interest, unless expressly named. The acts of limitation do not bind the king or the people. People have been ceded all the rights of the king, the former sovereign. It is a maxim of the common law that when an act is made for the common good and to prevent injury, the king should be bound, though not named. But when a statute is general and prerogative right would be divested or taken from the king or the people, he shall not be bound. You know, all these statutes, they're all loosely worded statutes, so all persons have to do this, all persons have to do that, or includes this or includes that. You know, those are all, has nothing to do with we the people. They're all colored laws. Positive law is the only thing we have to pay attention to. And none of it's positive law.
Positive law like thou shalt not kill.
Right. Right, that's common law. At the revolution, the sovereignty devolved on the people, and they are truly the sovereigns of the country, but they are sovereigns without subjects, and have none to govern but themselves. The citizens of America are equal as fellow citizens and as joint tenants in the sovereignty. That should be there. There it is. That's Chisholm versus Georgia. That's like 1787. Some of these cases are pretty old. This is a good one. It's the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta is not a unilateral act emanating solely from the spontaneous will of the king, as the charters of the predecessors of John. Neither is it a treaty, for we cannot say it was concluded between two legitimate and independent sovereignties, nor between two nations, nor is it a law. The barons do not appear in it as subjects, for they are freed from their promise of fidelity, and the king, brought captive, placed before them, submitted to the conditions that the conquerors imposed upon him. Magna Carta is therefore a contract, but resembles a treaty concluded between two nations, in that one of the parties, in virtue of the law of war, can impose its will upon the other. And that's the Canadian court case.
Regarding habeas corpus.
That's right. But the point is that they stuck a sword to his throat and they said, "Here, king, we want you to sign this."
Yeah. Yeah. That does make it legitimate, right?
It's coercion.
He's the king. He should have been authoring his oath of office in the first place. So they straightened him out on that. Magna Carta is still here today, so it's legitimate. Queen has an oath of office. Do we, the people, owe allegiance to the Queen? I don't. She owes me allegiance. She's supposed to protect my rights. That means her hired thugs are supposed to protect my rights too.
She's the trustor.
Same thing exists in Canada. Charter adopted in 1982 refers to citizens of Canada several times. Courts have told that the laws of Canada are federal laws. Citizens of Canada are federal citizens. Canadians include state, provincial citizens, and federal citizens. In Canada, there are at least two classes of citizens, state and federal. Corporations, federal is corporations. Provincial would be the king. You can be a national without being a citizen. Citizenship is part of a political community. This is taken from the US passport application. Notice it says, "I'm a citizen or non-citizen national of the United States." You can be a national without being a citizen.
Do not sign an application.
National.
Request to do so by person.
What's that?
Do not sign application until requested to do so by person.
Oh, yeah.
I heard from somebody that, that they saw on an INS application, there was a status or a nationality listed, you know how they've got Hispanic, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, yeah.
One of them was secured party creditor. Yeah,
Yeah, that would surprise me.
I thought that was interesting.
That was revealing, isn't it? It is, however, true in all common law countries, and is always and consistently be held that the wife and minor children take the nationality of the husband and father as common law doctrine. So nationality is common law. So I can be a Canadian national without being a Canadian citizen.
Are you?
Yes. I have dual nationality, actually. I'm also an American national. And maybe even Texas national.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I lived in Texas for a while, and I'm an ambassador for the Republic of Texas, so anyways. Why do we, the people, set up governments in the first place? Protection against foreign enemies, protection from each other, to administer disputes in a fair and impartial manner. The only legitimate function of the government is to protect the rights of the people. You think about that. Really? That's the only reason that governments are here. Foreign enemies, the military. From each other, the police. So somebody kills somebody else, then the police hunt them down and take care of it, right? Or if I want to sue somebody, right? That's administer disputes. God, supreme being, king of kings, created we the people. We the people, sovereigns, created the government. The government, subordinate to we the people, created corporations. Corporations are subjects to government, subject to regulation. That's the proper order of things. We, because we didn't understand the law, went and put ourselves down here by going applying for social security, social insurance numbers, and driver's licenses, and all that stuff. We gotta straighten out our public servants. Why is God in the Constitution? Because our rights come from God. If our rights come from God, only God can take them away. Sovereignty exists because of common law. The people in all countries with the common law of England owe their sovereignty to the common law. In Canada, United States, Australia, New Zealand, all common law countries in the world, the people are the sovereignty. Because of the Magna Carta, mostly. The common law was brought into England with the Magna Carta. Commentaries on the Laws of England by Sir Edward Coke.
Cool.
Yeah. Common law existed prior to the Magna Carta. Common law is as old as time itself. The law of England is divided into three parts. Common law, which is the most general and ancient law of the realm, statutes or acts of parliament, and customs. Common law appeareth in the statute of Magna Carta and other ancient statutes, which for the most part are affirmations of the common law. So the common law is there anyways, just reaffirming it. And that's Sir Edward Coke, the first part of the Institutes of England. He lived 1552 to 1634. Legislative law. There's two kinds. Positive law, law passed with legitimate authority, law passed to protect the rights of the people. Non-positive law, colorable law, applies to certain groups of people, does not apply to sovereigns. Operates as a contract if you get yourself involved in it. Positive law, laws actually and specifically adopted by proper authority for the government of an organized jural society. This is in the US. They actually publish what's positive law and what's not. This is taken from the Office of Law Revision Counsel's website. It says certain titles of the code have been enacted in positive law. Positive law, the text of those titles is legal evidence of the law contained in those titles. The other titles of the code are prima facie evidence of the laws, right? So if it's not positive law, it's prima facie evidence of the laws. Prima facie means at first look. That means it may not apply. You have to defeat it. You see? And in other words, prima facie means at first look, means there's a presumption. See what I'm saying? But you can defeat a presumption. And the way you do it, right here, defeat their presumptions. Now, think about it. Isn't it somewhere it says you have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law? Okay, the non-positive law titles. There's a whole bunch of them. Look at them all. Look at this. Aliens. The Immigration Act, non-positive law. The Bank Act, non-positive law. Trade and Commerce, non-positive law. Food. Yeah, non-positive law. IRS, non-positive law.
The Navy.
Navy, non-positive law. Public lands, public contracts. Railroads, you think about that, what's that got to do with the people? It has nothing to do with the people. So why would it be positive law? War and national defense, non-positive law. Colorability, a doctrine invoked when a statute is addressed to a matter outside jurisdiction, though it bears the formal trappings of the matter within jurisdiction of the enacting legislature. That's taken Constitutional Law of Canada by P.W. Hogg. Colorable, in appearance but not in substance what it claims to be, Dictionary of Canadian Law. Color. An apparent semblance or simulacrum as distinguished from that which is real, the prima facie or apparent right. Gee, color is prima facie. So again, some of these words are being used together, aren't they? Hence a deceptive appearance. It's a fraud. A plausible and assumed exterior concealing a lack of reality. A disguise or pretext. That's in that Black's Law Dictionary right there. Colorable means that which in appearance only, but not in reality what it purports to be. Hence counterfeit, feigned, having the appearance of truth.
That's what the police operate under, eh?
Everything they do is colorable.
Colorable law. No,
Unless they see a felony. In other words, you
Right.
commit murder or something like that, then, you know, that's common law. Color of law means the appearance or semblance without the substance of legal right, misuse of power possessed by virtue of state law, and made possible only because wrongdoer is clothed with authority of state as action taken under color of law. It's exactly what they're doing. Prima facie, at first sight, on first appearance, on the face of it, so far as can be judged from the first disclosure. Presumably. A fact presumed to be true unless proved by some evidence to the contrary. Yes?
Canada Criminal Code then, which has those things in it, you know, murder and everything else, is that all common law?
Well, if you're reading the criminal code, it's talking about the crown.
Yeah.
But murder is a common law offense, obviously.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yes?
I was on the FBI website here the other night, and they were talking about that they have a whole division in the FBI that investigates color of law infractions
Right.
of police officers and
Right,
stuff,
right,
where they've overstepped their bounds.
right,
And that they will charge them for,
right,
you know, overriding people's constitutional
right,
rights and stuff.
right. Yeah, they got it. It's absolutely. It's a felony. In the U.S., it's a felony. Title 18, United States Code, sections 241 and 242. It's a felony to violate somebody's rights under the color of law, 5 years in jail. And so, I mean, that's right. I'm going to be sending one of my criminal complaints to the FBI for sure. I'll be sending it to it because Canada's a municipal corporation, Dover Island District of Columbia, which means they're subject to United States law.
Amen.
Et justum generis, used to interpret loosely worded statutes. There's a law, lists specific classes of persons or things, and then refers to them in general. The general statements apply only to the same kinds of persons or things specifically listed. Example, if a law refers to automobiles, trucks, tractors, motorcycles, and other motor-powered vehicles, it would not include airplanes, since the list is land-based transportation. Same thing with if the law says this statute includes individuals, corporations, and trusts. Well, then an individual is a type of corporation, isn't it?
Yep.
So it's not me. But they go and throw that stuff in there, hoping that I'll get myself involved in it. Get their little hooks in there. This is the Internal Revenue Code. It's a perfect example. Person shall be construed to mean and include an individual, trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation. So then if that's the case, an individual is a fictitious entity.
There you go, that's perfect. I like that.
Include, or the participial form thereof. Includes, is defined to comprise within, to hold, to contain, enclosed, comprise, comprehend, embrace, involve. In other words, that's all there is. Actually, include should more like say means. There's nothing else.
Only means.
That's right.
In this context.
That's right. In other words, in the Criminal Code of Canada, where it talks about whoever,
Why
Anyone.
don't you rewrite that book in English?
we got lawyers that are laying awake at night doing this stuff because they want to entrap people that are
Yeah.
clueless about the law. Gives them power over them, doesn't it?
It's like insurance versus insurance.
Every one person and owner, and similar expressions include Her Majesty and an organization. Sounds like government to me. Has nothing to do with me. Canada.